I was going to upload the Becoming Shakti workshop video right after the body constitution video in the morning. And I thought I was just going to do a little bit of coloring and get my thoughts in order because it's a completely different topic, and come back to it. 3 hours and one 3 hours and about 1.5 hours of a nap later, here I am. So, why becoming Shakti? Because first and foremost, it is my journey. It is how I came into the power of me, a woman. So it's quite personal and practical elements to it that I use when it comes to the chakras, the yoga, the dance, and all of that. We talk about Ayurveda because every woman has to know the basic parts of healing. We talk about a little bit of energy healing, and we talk about a lot of self-care, and it's very experiential. And we also talk about the controversial subjects of Kama Sutra. Now this is what makes a lot of people curious. And this is what is the most controversial at the same time. Now when you hear Kama Sutra, you hear the contortionist sexual positions. That is the most mundane and a very small content of Kama Sutra. It is basically about a woman's anatomy, how her body changes every 2.5 days, just like the moon, where her erogenous zones are, and how to take care of your body. Because if you know yourself sexually, this has nothing to do with positions and it's about how you approach sex. Because if you approach sex with confidence, your body won't come into play. However it looks won't come into play. You won't compare yourself with somebody else because you're not put here to live somebody else's script. There's a general air of depression that is always running because you are always comparing yourself to somebody else. If you're a mother, you're comparing yourself to other mothers. If you're a woman, you're comparing your body, your relationship, your financial. You look at other people's Instagram stories of their vacations and you think, oh, I would love this. But so how would you experience your life? We're doing this, your eyes are looking at how others are living while life is happening to you, and you don't notice. Your life doesn't absolutely it has to be completely different from everybody else, and that is the beauty of it. But we don't know, we can't figure that out because you're always comparing. So the Kama Sutra aspect is for you to figure out your power as a woman. And I think it is this day and age, it is very critical that us women get into grips with the true power who we are. Because here's the deal, if you look around the world, the patriarchal systems are collapsing. And when, like, that doesn't mean now it will become a matriarchal system, because if you look at the human history, we had our time, and then the males had their time, and then now this is going to be a combined effort. But before we come to that stage, when the patriarchal system collapses at one point, if enough consciousness works towards it collapsing, it will collapse. And when that happens, as usual, women will have to pick up the healing part of it, to getting this together part of it. So in order to do that, you must know truly who you are. So I bring the Eastern aspects of yoga and all the knowledge of the East, of India and Sri Lanka, for 12 hours, and for you to experience you as an energetic being. So this is Becoming Shakti, and I have I have 3 spots for the 1st of August workshop. I can only hold 4 spaces because of the corona guidelines. So check it out. I'll tell you a small observation that I had, like a story. um, Everything has, because it is connected to the divine feminine, everything has male and a female side. These are two energies, you know. When you say male energies, what you mean is unmanifested consciousness, but if it is manifested, it decides to travel in direct lines. And if you take the feminine energy, it basically revolves around I am one, I want to be many, so it goes in circles. If you look at the golden ratio or the Fibonacci sequence that they're talking about, it initially has direct lines like this, and then it has a curvature, you know, the circular movements inside that. So the circular movements are, the circular lines are the female, the direct lines are male. So if you look at a woman's body also, you know, human's body, this is very evident. Females have curves, males have direct lines. And if you take, everything has male and female energy. If you take the outer cover and all of this is the environment, what holds it together, this is female energy. The workings inside, the technology inside, the pieces inside is male energy. Mother Earth carries the same, just like a human carries. And when you're, all of us, whether we are male or female, we carry both of these energies. Female's side is the left side, the east, and it's called Ida in Ayurveda and yoga. And the left side is male, sorry, the right side is male, the west, and the right, it's called Pingala. So just like this, in a man or woman, your left side is always female, right side is always male. Earth also has this. Her left side, her east is female, her west is male. Now this is evident in the most intellectual creature. It has manifested. If you look at the males of the east, they are smaller in stature, they're softer in their approach. They have this sense of I am one, I want to be many, more than the Western males. Because of that, the fathers, whether there is a divorce or whatever it is, the fathers tend to be in the lives of their children, you know. It's, you know, divorces are so messy. And if you take the women in the East, obviously, you know, they're smaller, they're curvier, they're softer. It is the same when you come to the West. The masculine energy has manifested in its beings. So the males are bigger in stature, so are the women. They're bigger in stature. They are louder in their expression. Their voices, you know, the tone is very much huskier. So if you look at human history of this human experience, you would see it's interesting to find out. The history suggests that initially the human civilization started in the center, in the womb. The Africas, the Americas, the Aztecs and the Incas, and then it traveled to the east, Mesopotamia, the Indus, and Indus was such a flourishing and a lengthy civilization, and it flourished in its, you know, in human experience, because if you look at the architecture that's in India, that is in Sri Lanka, the scientists today are still trying to figure out the mechanics of it. So they were very wholesome in their approach to life. So they celebrated everything. They celebrated the seasons, they celebrated girls coming of age, they celebrated marriage, they celebrated pregnancy, they celebrated death, they celebrated every possible thing. And while this was happening, now it's, of course, it's always a cycle. It has to take its course now. So we went from the center to the east. And 2500, 2600 years ago, basically, there was a man born in India who was very different in every possible way, by his stature, by his looks, his voice, the way he thought about things, the way he thought about life. He was born as a prince called Siddhartha. He ended his journey as Gautama Buddha. He's called the Mahapurusha because he was the human. In Vedas, you call Shiva Mahapurusha, but he's not a human, you know. But in the human experience, Prince Siddhartha was in all shapes, for all purposes, he was a human. He was no god, he was no demigod, he was just a man. But who he's also called the first scientist, Lokaviju, Vidyacharana Sampanno. So when you knew the sciences, you knew the magic. Because he's called the very first scientist because up until that time, first when we started in the center, we worshipped everything, we were scared of everything, and as human civilizations were getting matured and more experienced, if you look at the Hinduism is born, you know, and they look at everything from a bird's eye point of view, and as a complete experience. And then comes Siddhartha. After many teachers, he says, well, enough looking at it that way, divide everything into chunk-sized bites and you master it. It is called Vibhajyavada. So he is the very first person that went from a context-based to content-based. You had to look at everything. He looked at the mind in 89 ways. There's, you know, if you learn Buddhism, I'll do injustice if I try to speak about it, because I can't find the words, because I can't find the translations for it, so I'm surely gonna mess that up. So he's the very first scientist. So now everybody, just not this man, everybody else started dividing everything into pieces and started mastering this. Now the consciousness, because earth has her own consciousness, as mundane as it may be, but it has her consciousness. So it went from the center to the east to a female consciousness of constantly looking on a content base, to now everybody started dividing and started looking in a context base. And now the consciousness is being formed more male oriented. So you can see the matriarchal systems collapsing, the patriarchy coming up. And you know, 2600 years later, we have scientists, we have specialists, so and it's very male oriented. Now even a woman is a bit more male conscious, has a male conscious, you know what I mean? So now this was happening for 2600 years. Now we have experienced a full-blown male version of life. And I think Gautama Buddha inspired it. Now, quite an interesting thing is happening. Now, this is an observation I've had. Like I said, when the Earth's consciousness changes, it seems to manifest through its most intellectual creature, being a human. Now, if you look at the human experience, kids are being born as asexuals, means they don't identify as a gender, and their sexual orientation and their interest to sex is also at a very low limit. They're not bisexual, they're not confused about their sexuality, it's not of importance to them. So there are males and female, you know, they identify with both the genders and they won't decide. And this is from a child consciousness perspective. If you look at, if you bring to, you know, if you come towards the teenagers of today, mm, you could find bisexuals like in larger numbers, you know what I mean? And that's interesting. Everybody who's confused about their sexuality now thinks they are bisexual. That's interesting, because if you're gay or if you're lesbian, you know what you are exactly, right? But this is a different concept. Now, I think it is a sign of the male and the female coming together. It is manifesting. So, becoming Shakti is trying to prep the women of today, and we only have, I think, about 2 generations to work with, because when this is full blown, I think we will be grandmothers, and the teenagers today will be mothers. So, I am prepping the grandmothers so that you could talk to your daughters, because this day and age, it's just this, where reveal as much as you can. If you can walk naked, you would, because for attention you would do anything. And women are really vulnerable to this. That is because you don't know your power, you know and I would like the women today to experience, like, I'm not against expressing yourself. I have no issues if you walk around naked. That is not the point here. The point here is, are you doing it because you feel empty inside and you're trying to fill something up, or are you doing it because the devil may care? If it's the latter, I'm with you. If you're a insecure mess inside, well, we need to do something about it. And I think women, we have to get together, because like I said, we have about 2 generations to get into grips with. Because when we talk about the injustice that is happening to the females today, we like to project most of it towards the male population. There's a certain amount of injustice that is inflicted on us by them, but most of it is inflicted by us. We do it to each other. We are the very first to call somebody, a slut, and I'm guilty of this. We are the very people, we are the mothers who judge the other mothers, teachers judging other teachers, women judging each other on their body type, on absurd stuff, you know what I mean? But no, if you know your power, because if you squeeze an orange, you only get orange juice. You're not going to get apple juice. Whatever you have, you will be able to put out, because the external triggers will always be there. So, becoming Shakti is about doing my best, sharing how I came to be in total power of myself. So that's what it is. I hope this helps.